And we are back, and we just finished watching 2017's Okja, rated TVMA, and with a runtime of 2 hours. This is directed by Bong Joon Ho.
Bong Joon Ho.
Bong Joon Ho. And has writing credits to Bong Joon Ho and John Ronson. We had previously seen this film, which is a Netflix original movie. And I think we only saw it once, right? And this is maybe the second.
I think we saw it when it first came out.
Yeah, and it seriously impacted me. And again, I talked about watching it with the kids, but I'm sort of glad that we didn't. Although Olive did come during a weird time in the film.
She probably came at like one of the worst times in the movie.
Yes.
I mean, it resolves okay, but it's still
traumatic.
It's still heartrending.
Yeah. This movie makes me want to be vegetarian. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely will put that in your head.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I was about to mention this to you before, but the story is about basically some company which has apparently a terrible reputation.
Yeah.
It's like they make genetically modified stuff, and their new CEO, which is like the daughter of the old CEO, who was apparently a psychopath.
And also the sister
sister of the previous CEO
who was also a psychopath. Lunatic.
This other sister wants to make like a more sort of like nature-friendly version of the company, Mirando. And they have this, apparently they found this creature, this super pig, and they're raising this super pig.
Well, they like cloned it or something.
They basically did something, but they're trying to like shy away from it being a genetically mutated animal.
Right.
Which it actually is. Mm-hmm. There's no secret that it wasn't found in Chile's some strange forest.
Right.
It wasn't raised on some pasture. These are all just like this is all just press and propaganda. But they're having this sort of contest where what's going to happen is after 10 years, they're going to give these little piglets to farmers from all over the globe, and they're going to be raised in all different natural ways. And from there, the best super pig will be crowned, and then everybody will be able to have some of the super pig. The super pig is going to be a type of animal that produces less waste and is delicious too, and it has a very minimal impact or footprint on the environment. And one of these pigs is given to a Korean farmer in the mountains.
Yeah.
And his daughter or his granddaughter is helping
Mija.
Raise the pig,
and they're like best friends.
They're basically best friends. 10 years have passed. Okja is massive. Okja is.
She looks like a cross between. What'd you say?
A hippo and a dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
She sort of had the face of like the Never-Ending Story.
Oh God, no.
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 Am I confusing?
No,
she's cuter.
You mean Falcor, the big floppy dog dragon?
Yes.
Oh my God, no! Please don't let people think that because they won't want to see it. Falcor was terrible looking.
Really?
So stupid. It's like a cocker spaniel flying through the air. Terrible.
Sorry.
No.
It reminded me of that.
It reminded me of Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, but with obviously thicker ears and obviously massive. I mean, Okja,
it definitely had like a hippo body.
Okja is massive. She's like as big as a dinosaur, basically.
Yeah.
And
they're having this idyllic life.
They're having this idyllic life in the mountains, and then it's 10 years, and now it's time for this contest to come to fruition.
But it's really just a way of introducing this new product to the market.
Yeah.
And like one of the characters says, if the meat's cheap, people will buy it. Because the other character is like, well, I don't know if this is now going to sell because of the bad PR
there's a lot of... had. Yeah, a lot of hijinks ensue. There's an animal liberation front led by Paul Dano, who Paul Dano is just strange looking dude.
Crazy looking, right? Like I don't want to be caught in an alley with him.
Yeah, he has I think has a placid menace to him.
You know? He really does. And it looks. You know what's so funny? He looks like you could take him, but then at the same time, there's something weird and menacing about him. Like that scene where he starts beating up Steven Yeun. I was like, oh my God.
It's a placid menace. He just looks so bland, and then you think he'll just start screaming and smashing your head in with a brick.
Yeah, yeah. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
Again,
we're going
this
on
film
tangents.
is about a girl who's...
And her super pig.
And then the bond that they've created, but also addresses a lot of kind of like consumerism and multinational companies that engage in these practices with like this front of benignness, but it's really at the end of the day,
it's all about the cash.
It's about the bottom line. I was just going to say.
And really that's how it sort of sums up at the end.
Yeah. Tilda Swinton is magnificent as usual.
Yeah. She plays two different parts, and she's just magnificent. Yeah.
Magnificent. She's always, and it's funny because she's part of the film, Lucy and Nancy. We're going to spoil it because it's from 2017. I don't care. But
no, there's nothing to spoil. There's just two different characters, Lucy and Nancy.
Right. But I was just going to say that even though she's not in the film a lot, she's such a scene stealer to me.
Yeah.
She's such like an amazing actress to watch. And it's kind of interesting when you see her more than once in the same frame, because it's like they're two distinct personalities, and yet through the magic of movie making, it is beautifully conveyed how these two people are so dissimilar.
Yeah.
Similar because they share the same familial blood.
And also because they want the company to succeed.
Right.
But
one is more ruthless about it.
Lucy is very concerned about the public image. Everything is about public image. We got to get like the friendly spokesman, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right.
We got to make sure that everybody knows that we're not harming the environment and the animals, and everything is just like everything must be curated and picture perfect down to the little girl's going to wear the suit and it's going to have my signature on the sleeve and
that I've custom created.
And meanwhile, Nancy is just like, if it's cheap, they'll eat it.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Yeah. Screw everybody.
Yeah.
It could be, we could show these animals wallowing in their own filth before they're slaughtered.
Don't care.
People will eat it.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And also just that whole, towards the end, that big scene where she's like, why is this thing still alive?
Yeah. It's like, oh, look, it's our best super pig. And he's just like, why is it still alive?
Yeah. She is just ruthless.
She just does not care.
Yeah.
And like, the little girl's like right there.
Yeah.
There's millions of these things.
Yeah.
And she's just, there's just no mercy. It's just like, this is money.
Yes, exactly.
This is money to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a couple of scenes that were tough to watch. The scene with Dr. Johnny was tough to watch the first time. It was funny. I had sort of forgotten it, and as we got closer to it in this viewing, like I was like, "Oh man!" It like came back to me.
I completely forgot.
Yeah, I didn't completely forget, because as we got closer to that scene, I was like, "Oh shoot, I know what's gonna happen now." And it wasn't any easier watching it this time. And then the scene after Mija takes Okja, that completely wrecks me. I mean, I think I cried the first time. This time, I felt like this hollow in my heart. It really just...
And this is what I was going to mention before I went on the description of the movie and the tangents and everything. The animal, throughout the film, they just seem to give hints that it's more than just an animal. Like, this thing it's like thinking and
it communicates.
Communicating, and it's not just like a pig just blindly going to slaughter and whatnot. These things actually, for lack of a better word, have sentience.
Yeah.
And you see that in the beginning when it saves Mija's life.
Yeah, yeah.
It figures out how to rescue her from falling off the cliff and for them both to survive. Like a normal animal would not do that. It wouldn't look around its surroundings and be like, okay, I could use that. Right. If I go over one side, she'll come back up the other. And then at the end too, with the parents lifting up the wire.
That scene is just devastating to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
and then how they quickly thought to camouflage so that the two
security guards
wouldn't notice. Yeah, it's such a gut punch and just yeah. It's devastating. It's devastating. Yeah. I mean, as a parent, the things that you'll do, the things that you'll sacrifice to make sure that your kid is okay. Yeah, and it's like they knew that this was the only way to save the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, everyone does a really great performance here. All the animal liberation people were great. All the side characters, the young girl who plays Mija. I mean, just everything is just beautifully crafted. It's not a short film, but it flows very, very nicely. And to me, at least, it seemed kind of slow in the beginning, but once you get going, it goes. But it didn't feel like a 2-hour film to me.
No, the pacing is very well done.
Yeah.
The story flows from one aspect to one part of the story to the next.
And I liked how, especially like in the earlier parts of the film, there's comedic elements to it. And
well, I was just thinking about that. I think if they hadn't done that, it may have just been too heavy.
Right.
And I think it would have been sort of like an ordeal almost to get through. But right. Because they made the villains in the story so
kind of over the top,
especially Dr. Johnny. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal was ridiculous in this movie.
Yeah.
And even Tilda Swinton's portrayals, Lucy and Nancy, they were like Nancy was just the epitome of evil.
Yeah, just a
total bitch, evil. But her motivations 100% clear. You knew what she wanted: money. That was it. Right. Didn't matter. Everybody could die so long as she got paid. You knew Lucy's motivations, and they both played it to just such an extreme level.
Yeah,
that it was comedic.
Yeah.
Even the Liberation Front. I mean, Paul Dano, like I said, that placid menace, but everybody was just so dedicated to the cause, and him especially, because he was just like, if she doesn't want to do it, we won't do it.
Right.
To the point where everybody was like, are you kidding me? We've come all the way to Korea. We've done all of this. Now you're just going to let it fall upon the decision of a small child? He totally believed it. He would have absolutely
walked
away, brought Okja back to the mountains if he knew what Mija had said that in that moment. The
translations are sacred.
Translations are sacred. Also, the other ones, like that silver guy who's just like, he's trying to make such a small impact.
So he's not eating.
So he's not even eating anymore.
My God.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah, so there were definitely comedic elements that were,
and even like
I guess, needed to and even
like the
things.
Chase scene in the underground.
The chase scene, the music that accompanied it, it was almost Keystone Cop-ish.
Yes. And even the Korean like police force that was chasing them, it was very Keystone Cops. Yeah.
The guy driving the truck who just did not give a shit. Damn. He's just like, it's their money. I don't care.
Yeah.
That was the
writing on this is really, really, really well done. Bong Joon Ho is just amazing as a storyteller, as a filmmaker. Just chef's kiss. Seriously, I think this was like a Netflix original film, and was this the film that like Chris Nolan was like, oh, it's a streaming, so it shouldn't be counted for.
I think so. It was,
which is
because
horseshit.
I mean, it was a pretty big film, but it was just on streaming.
Right.
So
it never hit theaters.
This started that whole argument, I believe. I mean, there may have been some other films too, but I think this is like one of the big ones that started the whole. Oh my God! How could you sully cinema by streaming it before it's in a theater.
Whatever.
We're not purists here.
No, not at all.
Honestly,
my whole thing is tell me a story. Tell me a good story.
Tell me a good
keep
story.
Me entertained.
Yeah, I mean,
make me care.
Sometimes it's nice seeing stuff on a big screen.
Yes,
but most of the time, I am totally happy. We have a nice television. We have a nice couch.
Nice, big.
We can get all the snacks we want.
Yeah, all the good snacks.
We don't have to pay $80 for a family of four to go see a movie.
That's insane.
And then sit in a goddamn theater where more than half the time everybody else is just an asshole.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't regret seeing Across the Spider-Verse in the theater, but
I do because we went to the wrong one and they put the goddamn translation. like I would have loved to have seen that in the theater on a big nice screen, but we picked the wrong one and we get the minuscule screen with the subtitles.
Yeah.
And even then people are staring at their goddamn phone.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't.
It's like, why did you even come? You spent $20 to be here.
Yeah.
And you're on your freaking phone?
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit I do stare at my phone a lot, but not when the movie's on.
Yeah. I turn my phone off. I don't even trust the do not disturb thing.
Yeah, I turn everything off.
I turn the whole goddamn phone off.
Yeah. I'm crazy that I want to get there in time to watch the previews because I'm like, I'm curious what's coming out. I mean, not that I'm going to go to the theater this much, but I want to see what's coming out. So, but we digress.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was one of those films that was like, oh, well, it should have been released in a theater, and it's a shame that it was on Netflix. And I was, fuck you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of funny because this came out in 2017, and it is now 6 years later, and a lot has changed in 6 years. I mean, COVID aside, crazy presidents aside. I mean, I think the world of cinema in 2017 is not the world of cinema of 2023. And you and I had a conversation
that
earlier.
Came out when the president was insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting because you and I had a conversation earlier about, like, it's really hard to figure out what audiences like. There is no set direction anymore. It used to be that, like, we've had this conversation about you had a celebrity, whether it was Arnold Schwarzenegger or Will Smith or Tom Cruise, who just commanded huge box office just on the name alone.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore.
I think, and you and I have had this discussion because of just the volume of content readily available.
Yeah.
It's almost like sensory overload. But at the same time, it's kind of interesting because, again, in a conversation that you and I recently had, I can't predict patterns. Like Avatar: The Way of Water was successful. The Mario Brothers movie was successful. And I mean, we haven't seen Avatar yet, but we have seen Mario Brothers. I fell asleep during Mario Brothers, so I really can't comment, but I feel like it was just okay from what I watched.
Yeah.
And yet these are films that are making billions of dollars. And goddamn Renfield didn't make as much money. I'm still mad at you, America.
Yeah. I think our house is worth more than the box office in Renfield.
God damn it. It probably is. Ay. Did you remember enough from the first viewing for this viewing?
I mean, there are whole chunks that I don't remember about it. I was like, oh yeah, Steven Yeun's in this movie.
I remembered a lot of the actors.
I don't really remember much of anything. I remember the bit at the end with the baby.
Yeah.
But I totally forgot about the whole thing with Dr. Johnny and his lab there.
Yeah. Well, I sort of did, but but then as we were getting closer, I was like, oh, this is coming up.
Yeah, I totally forgot that. I completely forgot that there were that Tilda Swinton was two different characters. I totally forgot Giancarlo Esposito's in it.
I didn't remember the other two guys, the guy with the mullet and the skinny one that didn't want to eat. But I remembered Lily Collins. I don't remember Steven Yeun. I remembered Paul Dano. I remember that Tilda Swinton was two people. I remember Giancarlo Esposito because not to stereotype, but I feel like he always plays that character.
He has become typecast.
Yes. I really feel like he's just that guy now.
Always like Gus Fring.
Yeah.
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 He is Gus Fring now. He was Gus. He even on The Mandalorian, he's basically just Gus Fring in space.
Yeah. So I feel like he's become pigeonholed, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he's always a treat to watch as well.
Yeah.
He's got that. He's another one. He's got a great voice.
He's got an awesome voice. He should be doing tons of voiceover.
He should be doing a ton of voiceover. Yeah. If you're out there, Giancarlo Esposito, get yourself on Moon Girl.
Yeah.
And Devil Dinosaur. I'd love to hear it. What did you think of the overall, I guess, messaging?
I like that it was a story about just a little girl who
just trying to save her friend.
As far as like the evils of genetically modified foods or whatever,
or big corporations.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just inundated with all of that to the point where I'm just sort of like, all right, well, it's what are you gonna do?
I also found it devastating, again, towards the end when she goes to that place in Paramus. Of course, it's Jersey. And it's almost like, because again, Mija, she had to be between like 13, 14, 15 in my mind, right?
I felt she was younger.
10 years had passed, and then that picture with Okja, she must have been like 2 or 3, maybe even 4. She was more than 2, actually. So she might have been like...
Well, she said they got Okja when she was 4, and it's been 10 years. So she was
she's
14.
Okay, so let's say 14, 15, right? So, I mean, you're still young and naive. And I think from living in the mountains, that definitely... I mean, did she even go to school? Like, I don't even know if she went to school or anything.
I doubt it. I mean, they were really in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah. But the other thing was... Again, to get back to the point I was going to make was that scene towards the end when she goes into basically the slaughterhouse, how like this veil is lifted and you can't come back from that. Once you have that knowledge and you see like the fear and the terror in her eyes.
You know what? I think I got a sense that she was sort of like a bit overwhelmed and more, but I felt she was more worried just about Okja.
No, of course.
Because this is a girl who grew up on a farm. She's seeing animals get killed all the time.
Yes, but in that instance, it's for food. It's not for consumption in that massive degree. It's not so mechanized and just... I mean, this guy is just standing there with a gun and just shooting them in the head, right? Yeah. And that's how. And then they go through this conveyor belt where like different pieces are put in different places, and people are just working on assembly lines without any kind of thought or. I mean, listen, people have to work to bring home food to their families as well, and I get that, but there's also kind of this address of, well, where do you draw the line? Like, where is the morality? Doesn't this creature also deserve a chance to live, to grow old, to just not fear for its life? And at the end, I got the impression as she was leaving, her heart was heavy because she obviously couldn't save all these animals. Mm-hmm. But on the plus side, she got to save Okja and the little one. And then when all the animals start wailing, I like that really. I remember the first time I saw this film, that really impacted me.
Yeah, well, it's it. Like I said, these things, to me, it felt like you've made this creature, but you've made it. It's almost like you made it too well, because this thing is not. It's not just mindless. It's this thing is thinking.
Yeah. And it definitely. I mean, she like. The scenes where she would like whisper in its ear, and then at the end it seems like it's like Okja's talking to her, and then she smiles and then she goes and has dinner with her grandfather. So yeah, I think there's I agree with you. I think there's definitely shades of that, and I think also the parents of the baby, that like they knew that this wasn't a good place for them, so they wanted to make sure that the baby would be okay. Yeah, this should be required viewing. This is a story that has a huge message, but doesn't preach to you and ends in sort of like a soft tone, but I think it still stays with you. I know the first time I watched this movie stayed with me, and I think now on this viewing, I'm going to be thinking about this film a lot. Mm-hmm. What do you think? 1 to 10?
Give it an 8.
I'm going to give this a 9. I think it's close to perfect. Again, the script is solid. The performances are really strong. And again, this is about a creature in the film that technically isn't even there. The CG on this was really amazing. The CG is pretty good.
Yeah, we haven't even spoken about that. They did a real good job with the CG.
I couldn't tell that wasn't in the frame.
I would say 90% of the time I was completely immersed in it. There was nothing about it that sort of took me out. Sometimes a little bit of a lighting issue, but I would say most of the time it was completely spot on, and you were not taken out of it. The Okja looks amazing.
Yeah. The skin, the eyes.
The skin, the texture, and the interaction that they have between real actors and whatever the hell they were interacting with when they were filming it. But the way they integrated it
was really
well done.
The actual special effects to create that creature are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this really hits on a lot of levels. I mean, in story, performance, set design, costuming, special effects, editing, sound, even the music. Some of it's like very funny and silly, and then you have like the more like gut-wrenching music during those scenes. Yeah, I mean this. Yeah, I actually, you know what? Is this a 10? I mean, I can't think of anything that would make this better.
There's no 10s.
For you. I don't know. Maybe I need to change my number. I don't know what could have made this better.
Your number is your number. I'm sticking with an 8.
All right. I'm going to give this a 10 then. I'm sorry. I believe that this could not be a better film.
Okay.
I think if we look at all the aspects of this film, it knocks it out of the park in every aspect. So hats off to Bong Joon Ho. Kudos to Netflix for investing in this. I mean, I'm sure if somebody had come to me with a script like this, I'd be like, what am I looking at? What am I looking at? Seriously. So thank you to the money givers at Netflix for funding this project. Kudos to all the cast, the crew, an amazing job. We are still in the writer's strike. And writing is so important.
It's probably the most important part of the whole process.
Probably the most important part of the process. And I know that the directors all got what they wanted, so they're not on strike. But maybe you guys should support the writers too, because if it wasn't for the writers, there wouldn't be movies to direct.
Well, I mean, the directors are going to be sitting on their hands until this resolves, unless they feel like directing reality TV.
Which could possibly be especially if these corporate heads.
The next episode of AEW Dynamite was directed by Martin Scorsese.
Do you think he would do that? It would be interesting. I mean, he has done like a concert film with the band.
That'd be fantastic. Just
but Thelma has to edit it because she's the one that keeps it all looking good. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But shame on all these corporate people who are basically
by Darren Aronofsky.
Oh my God, I would love to see that. That is amazing. That is an amazing concept. The Bachelor, directed by Darren Aronofsky. I'm still shell-shocked by that movie. Yeah, shame on all these
greedy
bastards that won't allow people to make a living wage and
want to just like shoehorn in things that'll replace them. I mean, like that proposal about, we want the ability to just scan in extras and use their images in perpetuity.
No.
Like what?
What? Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
They're trying to keep their paycheck.
You may as well just say. You may as well just say we're just going to scan in every actor's face and screw all you guys. We're just AI is just going to replace everybody.
I mean,
Humphrey Bogart and Brad Pitt will be in the next
Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of scary how this is. And I comment about let's just wait it out till they start losing their homes.
Yeah.
That's just complete shite.
They're being unrealistic, says the guy making $45,000 a day.
Yeah. About a guy who's making $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
Oh, man. The world will really, really disappoint you.
It's strange. I mean, I always imagine that at some point, if I ever did somehow find a way to make tons of money, at some point I would just be like, all right, I got enough money.
Right.
I don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah.
How much money do you need?
I don't know.
What are you buying with it?
Nothing.
Nothing, really.
Yeah. And most of that is stocks. So that's why the rich people don't want the markets to tank, because most of their money is tied up in stocks.
All right. Well,
yeah,
this isn't an economics show.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
All right. So 8, I gave it a 10. Absolutely. Check out 2017's Okja, which is a Netflix original movie currently streaming on Netflix. It's got a 2-hour run. It's TVMA. There are some heavy scenes, although the warning said smoking and what?
Violence, maybe?
I don't remember. I don't think it said violence, which is weird because some of it can get violent, but I mean, not to any kind of extreme, but the scene with Jake Gyllenhaal and Okja and the other creature always takes me out. And then I guess the end when you see the place in Paramus, of course, that's also, it's not pleasant.
No.
It's not pleasant. And the scene with the baby is not pleasant. And it's kind of not funny, but it's interesting how that you have like this, like I could feel my heart breaking in my chest, but then you have that scene at the end where she wakes up. She's been sleeping out on the ground, and there's Okja, and then there's the baby falling into the water, and then swimming like a little dog almost. And it just ends kind of peacefully and serenely.
Yeah.
Although I do wonder what Okja told Mija.
Yeah.
They have their own language. Like that scene where she's saying, like, put the phone and I'll talk to her. I want to talk to Okja. I want to make sure she's okay. And when Okja hears her voice and she starts making noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very lovely film. It's kind of hard to sit through, but it's definitely worth your time. If you can catch it, if you still have Netflix, please go check it out. 2017's Okja. And that's it from us, and we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.